So this is part 4 of the 8-part presentation demonstrating the mechanics of the Abu Dhabi fix. This one's focusing on the FIA Stewards appeal. This one will take some time, but stick with it and you will see categorically that there is absolutely no way that this could be described as a human error. Part 1, if you've watched it, will show you the F1 TV role in this. Part 2 shows you Sky Sports initial role in this, and part 3 will show you an evidence exactly what FIA race control knew. Hence, it was never a human error. So this is going to be exploring both the experience of those stewards, what they knew, what Red Bull knew, and what actually took place in that appeal after the race, which should have overturned the result of that race. Now, just to show you that you can do this too, you can go onto the FIA webpage, who are united against online abuse, the abuse that they have actually caused through presenting their corruption, causing division. Okay, now if you go onto there and go onto the sport tab at the top, come down where it's got competitions, world championships, go across, and the top one is FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Click on that. That should then open up this page, which then if you just scroll down, it's got F1 official documents, this blue bar here. There's an arrow, click on the arrow, and then filter by season 2023. So if you go down to 2021 event, and here we go, so one at the top, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, click on that. It gives you a list of all the official FIA documents from that race, as is available for all of the races, and it's decision Mercedes protest article 48.12. so when you click on that, it will download it to your computer, and you get this. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge this. You can see 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, dated 9th to the 12th of December, date 12th of December 2021, time 23:03. It's got the decision, and it's got the 4 stewards listed there: Gary Connolly, Derek Warwick, Felix Holter, and Mohammed Al Hashmi. Now, I'm not going to concentrate on Mohammed Al Hashmi. He is a local steward provided by the country with which the Grand Prix is held in. The 3 FIA provided officials are Connolly, Warwick, and Holter, and they are going to be the focus of this presentation and what they knew. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and the most important thing is that you share this to make sure more and more people get to see the true reality of what really took place. So those of you that have seen part 3 about Michael Massey and his experience, you will know that Michael Massey's first safety car deployment was at the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix, the first one where Massey himself was the race director, not Charlie Whiting's understudy. And that resulted in a safety car finish because there was not enough time to do the unlapping procedure and go racing again. Okay, Gary Connolly was an FIA steward at that event. Okay, Massey's first deployment, which resulted in the safety car finish, Gary Connolly was a steward at that event. So this is what track view looks like as that event finished. You have Lewis Hamilton just about to take the checkered flag on the start finish line at the top of the screen. So the blue dot of Hamilton is going to win the race. The white dot behind is the lapped car of Robert Kubica. And then you've got Kvyat. Second place in the race is Bottas. But you can see there's 3 dots in between Hamilton and Bottas, so they're lapped cars. Okay, there isn't the time to release them. Also still running, you've got is it Lance Stroll is back here? Either way, okay, either way, because actually, yeah, he's got to be, hasn't he? Stroll's got to be lapped. He's back here. You look at Bottas. Bottas is in front of Stroll. So the unlapping procedure can't be done. The cars are not nose to tail in the correct race order. It finishes like this. There is not that time. Gary Connolly is aware of that situation. The 33rd time that Massey deployed the safety car also resulted in a safety car finish because, again, there was not time to complete the unlapping procedure in order to go racing again. Once again, Gary Connolly was an FIA steward, one of the 4 FIA stewards at that event too, the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix. This is what track view looked like. Lewis Hamilton in the lead, Max Verstappen in second, but look at the red dot in between Hamilton and Verstappen. Then look at the white dot afterwards, Kvyat, blue dot of Russell. Actually, third in the race, is Alex Albon, and he's back at turn 14. Daniel Ricciardo in 7th is a yellow dot back at turn 13. You can see it's not the correct race order. They're not all nose to tail ready to resume racing. It was a safety car finish. Gary Connolly was aware of that. So I've actually got the number wrong here. This is lap 57 of 58. I've put 78 for some reason. We can all make mistakes. I will own up to my mistake. I will find a way of rectifying that for future presentations. Gary Connolly, again, the same man, was a steward at the an FIA steward at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2021. What does track view look like? Well, what we see is first, second, we then see 12th, 13th, 3rd, 4th, and then it's 14th, and then it's 5th, and then it's 6th. That's what we see about to cross the start-finish line to resume racing. That's not allowed. It's never been allowed like that. You cannot resume racing like that. Out at turn 5, you've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? In all of the examples given, ever since 2012, you cannot resume racing like that. It's a known thing within the FIA. So, those are the 4 stewards: Connolly, Warwick, Holter. This is them listed on the FIA document. This is the biographies of those 3 stewards taken from a race that they were also together as the 3 Musketeers, being stewards of that race. And what each of those stewards knows. So at the 2018 German Grand Prix, the safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap that the lap cars were released. Felix Holter was a steward at that Grand Prix. So he witnessed that safety car procedure. He witnessed the fact that the safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap on which those lap cars were released. That's confirmation of the 2018 German Grand Prix. That's confirmation that Felix Holter was a steward at that event. Go on to F1 TV, watch it back, see how long the safety car stays on track. The 2019 Spanish Grand Prix. The safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap that the lapped cars were released. This was under Michael Massey's race directorship. Gary Connolly was a FIA steward at that event. Now, in 2019, we have tracker view. So this is confirmation of the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix. This is proving that Gary Connolly was one of the stewards at that event. This is tracker view. So The lapped cars were released. This is what it looks like. The lapped cars are around, starting at turn 5 and heading back towards turn 3. Those are the lapped cars that have been released, meaning they are given one lap and then we can get going. So on the next time Hamilton comes to the start finish line, they can resume racing in accordance with the rules of the sport. One lap later, the track looks like this. Okay, so according to the rules of the sport, you can resume racing. Those released cars have been given that mandatory one lap. Do we go racing? No, we don't. Because one lap later, this is what it looks like. Okay, the cars are now nose to tail. They were allowed to bunch. You now see these gaps appearing at the start because Hamilton has bolted, and therefore you start seeing these gaps appear between the front runners as each of them starts accelerating. Okay, but what you saw the previous lap was that is Antonio Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica far enough out of the way of the leaders? Well, they are, aren't they? But we didn't go racing. We didn't go racing until that was achieved. And that's what Massey made the safety car stay on track for the additional lap to achieve that. Massey knows that, and Gary Connolly knows that. He witnessed it. Okay? Derek Warwick. He was a steward at the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix. The safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap that the cars were released. So again, we have tracker view for 2020. This is confirmation that Derek Warwick was a steward at that event. You can get these documents, they're all on the FIA website. So, the leader of the race is Lewis Hamilton. So he is about to cross the start-finish line. The white dot of Daniel Kvyat has just overtaken him, meaning that from now on, those lapped cars that have been released have got one lap to try and make it around, and then we can go racing. So at the end of this next lap, we can go racing. Tracker view looks like this. Hamilton is just about to cross the start-finish line now. Technically, we can go racing. Kvyat and the rest of the released cars are beyond turn 6 now. Okay, so substantial way. They're out of the way of the race between the leaders, aren't they? Do we go racing? No, we don't, because the next lap, tracker view looks like this. And then we do go racing. So what has Massey done? Massey has kept the safety car out for an additional lap. That was after one lap of the safety car. That's after the additional lap. To ensure sporting fairness to all competitors, to create this situation where we go racing again, where all the competitors are nose to tail, having been given the opportunity. Derek Warwick was a steward at that event. He witnessed that. He witnessed that procedure. He witnessed what Massey did, and for the purpose of what Massey did. The 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. The safety car remained on track for 2 laps beyond the lap that lapped cars were released. Gary Connolly was a FIA steward at this event. There is proof that Gary Connolly was the steward at this event. This is what tracker view looked like after the final lapped car, which was Aitken, was released. Sergio Perez was the leader of this event, the pink dot just about to cross the start-finish line. So one lap later, we can go racing again. One lap later, Perez is about to start to cross the start-finish line. Aitken is out at turn 4. That's quite a distance away. He's well out of the way of the race between the leaders. Do we go racing? No, we don't, because one lap later, this is where we are with Aitken virtually caught up, and then we go racing again. So it starts off there. That's one lap of the safety car. That's 2 laps of the safety car. Now we go racing. Gary Connolly witnessed that. He was a steward. He saw what Massey did, what Massey knows, the purpose of the safety car and the procedure. So there's Gary Connolly. Have a read. He has been an FIA steward and FIA observer since 1989. In 2012, he was a steward at the Brazilian Grand Prix. There were two incidents. There were 2 laps to unlap. One of the safety car, the race director Charlie Whiting gave the release cars 2 laps of the safety car with which to catch the back of the pack, and that race ended in a safety car finish, which Sebastian Vettel won the championship at that event. 2013 Korean Grand Prix, again witnessed Charlie Whiting giving those release cars 2 laps of the safety car with which to catch the back of the pack. He saw the Singapore Grand Prix where lapped cars were released, where he was a steward. Austrian Grand Prix in 2016, a steward where lapped cars were released. Azerbaijan, there was a crash during the unlapping process and it took a further 5 laps. Okay, you can watch that race and see how that unfolds. That shows you what they have to do and the safety measures that they have to go through when there is an unlapping procedure, and that these things, just because it might say safety car ending or safety car in at the end of this lap, it doesn't mean that that overrides anything. Anyway, Spain 2019, Michael Massey is race director at this one. Massey gave those release cars 2 laps. Connolly was the steward at that event. He was a steward at the 2020 Tuscan Grand Prix where he witnessed the unlapping procedure. A steward at the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix where he witnessed Michael Massey keep the safety car lapping for 2 additional laps for the unlapping procedure and to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. In 2021, Connolly was a steward at the Belgian, Dutch, Italian, Russian, Qatar and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as well as Abu Dhabi. Okay, the Belgian parade, the Dutch, well, that's home of the Pretender, the Italian Grand Prix, where Max landed on Lewis's head, the Russian Grand Prix, the Qatar Grand Prix, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, you know, the one where Red Bull were able to negotiate the restart position after Max had re-entered the track in an unsafe manner, causing Lewis Hamilton to have to take evasive action, dropping him from 1st to 2nd, and then Red Bull negotiating the starting grid, only allowing themselves to be dropped to 3rd, providing Lewis is still in 2nd. Connolly was a steward at that event. Derek Warwick, our great white hope himself. So it doesn't tell you how long he's been a steward. It just tells you his driving prowess. Well done to you, Derek, the great white hope himself. Derek Warwick, steward at the 2013 Singapore Grand Prix, where he witnessed Charlie Whiting give the lapped release cars 2 laps of the safety car beyond the lap that they were released on with which to catch the back of the pack. He was a steward in 2014 at Bahrain, where once again Whiting gave those released cars 2 laps with which to catch the back of the pack. Monaco 2014, the same situation, 2 laps beyond release with which to catch the back of the pack. 2017 Monaco is witnessing unlapping procedure, 1 lap there. 2019 Germany, 1 lap there. He was a steward at 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, where Massey was the race director, and Massey keeps that safety car lapping for 2 laps beyond the lap of release with which to allow those release cars the chance of making it around to the back of the pack. In 2021, Warwick was a steward at the Spanish Grand Prix, where Verstappen ran Hamilton off the road at turn 1, the Austrian Grand Prix, the Belgian parade, and Abu Dhabi. Felix Holter. So Holter became an FIA steward in 2018. However, prior to that, he had a lot of involvement in the German DTM. So you would think he knows the rules of motorsport. You don't get a position in the FIA as a novice as being one of these stewards. You have to demonstrate that you've been in motorsport to a decent level and you know what you're doing. One would assume. Holter, we know that in 2018 he was a steward at the German Grand Prix, where in 2018 Massey and Scott Alkins were understudies to Charlie Whiting. At that German Grand Prix, Charlie Whiting kept the safety car lapping for 2 laps beyond the lap of those of the release of those lapped cars. Holter witnessed that. In 2021, it was the Belgian parade where the Three Musketeers got together and were stewards at the Belgian parade. He was also a steward in Turkey, and they reunite in Abu Dhabi. So, as I say, I'm not going to focus on Mohammed Al Hashmi. He is the national steward, so I'm not going to worry too much about him for the purpose of this. 199, that's the number of Grand Prix that have taken place. Abu Dhabi was 199th since the reintroduction of the unlapping procedure for the start of the 2012 season. 199. So Abu Dhabi was 199th Grand Prix. These Three Musketeers, which are Wheatley, Newey and Horner, as you see them pictured left to right, they have been at Red Bull in those positions for all of that length of time. They've all been at Red Bull in those positions since well before 2012. So they have witnessed all of those 199 events. All 3 have been in their roles, and during that time they've been party to the 198 Grand Prix contested prior to Abu Dhabi. All 3 will have observed and understood the 147 safety car deployments and restarts. All 3 will have witnessed and understood the 49 safety car situations which required the unlapping of lapped cars. And of them, just one of those previous 48, because Abu Dhabi was the 49th, one of the previous 48 which occurred since 2012, where the safety car was deployed, was a single lapped car not released. And that was the Singapore 2017 race, where Pascal Wehrlein had been lapped by the entire field. He was lapped twice. The leaders pitted during the safety car, meaning that he was actually unlapped once. So he's still a lap down. But then his team pitted him, and when he was in the pits, it basically put him 2 laps behind again. His team pitted him late in that safety car period. And if you read the rules, the ones that are eligible to be released are the ones that were lapped at the point in time where the safety car had crossed the safety car line for the second time. But what's happened is he's became unlapped, and then he's got himself lapped again after that qualifying period. So that makes him ineligible to be released. So, and even if you had released him and taken more time out of the race, he'd have made it around to the back of the pack and still been a lap behind everybody. So ultimately, it's an anomaly, but that's the reason why the race director would have said, we're not releasing you now because you were only a lap down when those leaders initially pitted in the safety car, but then you put yourself 2 laps down again by pitting so late in that safety car period. Unlucky. That justifies the race director not released him. That's the only time that that's not happened. The only other time that a car, where there were more lapped cars and some were released, but one of the cars didn't go, and apparently there was a problem with his radio and he didn't get the message. But the actual instruction from FIA race control was given for his car to unlap, and he never did. And then because they gave the time and he didn't do it, they just said, well, you've had the time, you've not done it, we're going to go racing again. but the FIA carried out the procedures. That was either the team's or the driver's fault that message never got through to him. So you need to remember at Abu Dhabi, Jonathan Wheatley coercing Michael Massey, or was it coercing in as much that this was broadcast by television? This was something that was picked out by F1 TV to broadcast, to make people think about a situation a certain way. So knowing what he knows, Jonathan Wheatley said, obviously those lapped cars, you don't need to let them go right away around and let them catch up with the back of the pack. You just need to let them go, and then we've got a motor race on our hands. Okay? So, Wheatley has witnessed 48 situations whereby those lapped cars are released and given at least one lap of the track with which to attempt to catch the back of the pack. He knows what the situation is. He suggests this. Christian Horner says, Christian to Michael, why aren't we getting these lapped cars out of the way? Those words are key. Out of the way. They come out of Christian Horner's mouth. Scripted. Out of the way. And I'll come to why it's out of the way. And then we only need one racing lap. So this gets broadcast. We don't know when the message actually was recorded, because F1 TV, who play that message, pick and choose. They pick and choose the audio and they put it in to show us when they want to show it us. So we don't know the exact moment that these conversations are taking place. What we do know is this picture here, is that on lap 56 of 58, coming round past turn 14, there are marshals on the track. I have circled Max Verstappen's car. Behind Max Verstappen, there are 3 cars. There's Daniel Ricciardo, there is Lance Stroll, there is Mick Schumacher. Hamilton is out of view. He's already passed this scene. He is on his way to turning that last corner and going down that start-finish straight to begin lap 57. Remember, there's 3 cars behind Max Verstappen. They make up the 8 lapped cars in that event. They are not going to be released until after they have passed the site of this incident, until these guys are off track. There is no way they are going to make it past Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton and the safety car. They won't have to make it past these cars that you see in free, because they'll all have passed Hamilton and the safety car too, as part of that unlapping procedure. But Ricciardo, Stroll and Schumacher, and remember, Schumacher is behind Sainz and Bottas too, who aren't in picture. Those 3 cars are out of view at the moment. You can only see Daniel Ricciardo. Would need to make it past Verstappen, Hamilton that's out of view, and the safety car. They are not going to do so prior to the beginning of lap 57, which means lap 57 is the earliest lap of release, which means lap 58 is a mandatory safety car lap, which means it is a safety car finish. That is absolute. There is no alternative to that. That is absolute. But what do we, as the watching public, get shown? As always, I'm going to have to show you this on Tracker View, because they will block this video claiming copyright if I show you the footage of what they showed you, the on-track footage. So I'll have to show you it via Tracker View. 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So I've just showed you that picture You can look at tracker view. You look at where Max Verstappen is. Okay, he is now at turn 15, which is where Norris was on that picture. Where you saw that picture, Max Verstappen was where Pierre Gasly is now. So you can see that in between Verstappen and Gasly, in between turn 15 and 14, there's halfway between there is the white dot of Mick Schumacher, and he would have needed to be released. Mick Schumacher is only passing that site of the safety car, where the stewards were on track. Say stewards, I'm saying the wrong word here. Where the marshals were on track. Okay, Schumacher is only passing that about now. It's only now that they can give the order with which to release the lapped cars. Look where Hamilton is. He's about to cross the start-finish line to go on to lap 57. Schumacher is not getting past him before getting on to lap 57, which means the earliest he's going to get there is lap 57, which means lap 58 is a safety car lap, which means it's a safety car finish. Anyway, watch where the cars are on track. Listen to what is said both in commentary, but importantly, what F1 TV choose to make you hear.
Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control. And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
Brundle once again saying they may. It's not mandatory. Go and read the regulations. Absolute lie from Brundle. It's nothing to do with may. The only stipulation says if it is safe to do so, which means if it's not, you carry on lapping behind the safety car, because it's not safe to release lapped cars. It's not safe to go racing. Absolute. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Brundle is pretending that it's an optional thing where it absolutely is not. But anyway, we are now on lap 57. Those lapped cars have not been released. If they're released on this lap, lap 58 is a safety car lap. That is what the rules stipulate.
Pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
So, as you point out, Crofty, there will be no racing laps, which is exactly what I am saying. If they are released on this lap, there will be no racing laps. It will be a safety car finish. Lewis Hamilton will be an 8-time world champion. There is nothing in the rules that says otherwise, but Martin Brundle has made out that it's still possible, and he's just said he thinks that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap and there will be one racing lap. So he's already priming the audience to think that it's still possible for there to be a racing lap. It absolutely isn't in accordance with the rules, but he's priming you to think that it's possible, but by keeping those lapped cars in situ. And then he acts surprised when actually they take them out of the way and then they go racing. But already he's priming you to believe that it's possible to see one racing lap. Now, we know what we can see on track. Okay? We know what we can see on track. We can see Lewis Hamilton at turn 4 on lap 57. We know that is on turn 4, lap 57. F1 TV are in charge of this footage, in charge of what messages they choose to present to the world. We know even if those 8 lapped cars are released this lap, lap 58 has to be a safety car lap. What do F1 TV choose for the world to listen to?
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
So we got Crofty presenting the blue flag scenario, which is not even valid, not possible. And then we get F1 TV showing to the world, playing to the world, this message from Horner. Now, let's just play that again. They choose this message at this point on lap 57.
Flags, I would imagine.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
You only need one racing lap. Why aren't we getting these lapped cars out of the way? Well, F1 TV, they know the rules of the sport. They are there at every Grand Prix doing all of the recordings. They will have witnessed the safety car procedure. They will have witnessed the unlapping procedure. They know that once those cars have been released, that safety car stays on track for a further lap of the track, with which to allow those released cars the opportunity of catching the back of the pack. They know that message from Horner is irrelevant, because they know that we're on lap 57, and therefore even now, if those cars are released, lap 58 is still a safety car lap. This is a safety car finish. What do F1 TV show you? What do they show you? Now, I'm just going to break this down into two parts, because otherwise this would go on for an hour. This is important, and I need people to see it and see it all the way through. So this is going to now be part 1 of part 4. So I'm going to call this part 4A, and then I'm going to do part 4B when I go into further detail about what actually happened in that Stewards appeal. So make sure you watch that, which is part B of this presentation. Thanks for your time.